Me. Turn that down a little bit.
Okay. She said, "Congratulations on you."
That's good.
Cool. Get your hair cut down.
Appreciate you. Yeah, man, we're gonna do a Nas fade. Just gotta get my hairline back. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. Lots has happened in a while too. Like,
yeah, man.
And like, I guess the topic for today's conversation is politically homeless. I mean, as we talked about that before, like, to me, it's like, you know, I know I'm a registered Republican and I'm a pretty outspoken Republican, but I know them motherfuckers don't like me.
Yeah.
I know they don't like me, so it's like, you know, it's like I know I can't go. I don't, you know, so I'm out there politically homeless as well.
You know, I think a lot more people are center left, center right than they would like you to believe. And it comes down to messaging. It comes down to the environment that you're in. Yeah. So, like, you know, for me, I grew up with a mom who's very liberal, black, downtown. Barack Obama's like the best thing since Martin Luther King. Black culture. Very diverse background. Dates white men. My dad is a very conservative from the hills and hollers of eastern Kentucky and very Republican. Loves black women though. You know, so like
Kentucky, baby.
So like I look at all that and it's like it's very easy to stereotype just looking at my parents until you start looking at it. My dad listens to all the mixtapes. My dad's a huge Glorilla fan. Loves Lotto. My dad loves black culture. My dad has a big distrust for law enforcement. My mom is fiscally conservative. So, like, when you look at what people stereotypically say for each party, my mom and dad, despite what they look like on the outside, and despite what you think you know about them, have varying opinions from what the parties want you to sell. Growing up with that, why would I want to be in part of a party that doesn't at least give me something that I want? It's very hard to identify with the idea of a party when I think the party should identify with me. I'm the voter. You should be moving to where your voters are, not necessarily the other way around. You know, you mentioned you are a outspoken black Republican. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think we agree on everything politically.
No, as we shouldn't.
But we do have some crossroads where we are very similar. And I think
that's what that center is right there. That center, big center lane that we all drive in.
Yeah, man. You mentioned it, center lane. There's a lot of things that we agree on and think should happen. We just have a different way of getting them done. And in a world that's so hyper, like, sensational, everything's sensationalized, everything's quick views, everything is fast food like, we don't take time to have that dialogue.
It's not a safe place for some people because it's out of their comfort zone, out of their realm of understanding. And you said something that like how your dad and your mom are, but like that's Kentucky, man. You just described Kentucky in a nutshell. Because I have a belief that it's because Appalachia, we're all mixed in together, Melungeons, mulattoes, Melungeon together. To where, and you get the best stuff out of Appalachia. You get the best food, the best music, the best culture, the best everything when you mix everybody in together with a little bit of money. Not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not rich. Like you take some people who are in survival mode.
Yeah.
Put them all together. There's like this song like that Irish dude sings. He's the dude. He got real popular for singing this one kind, and then he has this Irish song with all these Irish. And you're Irish, you
Notre Dame, Black Irish.
No, hey, but you know how they got that name from kicking the Klan's butt?
Oh yeah.
The Klan came to Notre Dame, and the Irish stood up against the Klan. That's the way I wish black people would do sometime, is stick up against the Klan and kick their ass. But anyway, like the Irish would come out and sing, and they'd all be living in the same neighborhoods, and the Irish would come out and sing this song after they come home and get liquored up, to calling all the brown and black people out to fight when they come home. We've been in the fields or working all this time. Not in the fields, but say we've been working in the railroads or working. Now I'm home, I'm liquored up. I'm calling you people out to fight. That was like their cry war song, the Irish man. So I mean, we've all lived together, and I just think the best thing comes out of struggling people oppressed people who learn how to some way get along together.
I agree. I think that's also not necessarily in the best interest for the powers to be.
Exactly.
So I know that sounds like a big conspiracy thing. And
It's not a conspiracy, man.
Well,
that's normal thinking. The way that's that center that most of us feel, that most of us drive in, the center lane most of us drive in. If you ask most center right or center left people, do you think that the Republican Party and a Democratic Party, the people at the top like to see us fight against each other?
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. And I think I think that's a protection of power, and I think that's that is I need votes and I need to understand what I'm winning mindset. I think everyone wants their own success. And when you have your own success, then everyone else can have their wins later. And that's where division lies. I look at my political journey and can see, as a black man, I've always felt like, am I ever going to get my comeuppance in this country?
Preach. Yeah, right.
And I know that I can't be the only person to feel that way.
Right there again.
Whether it's, transgender, whether it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's, Christians, whether it's, women. There's a lot of people, minorities, whatever have you, any religious, whatever identity that you assume, you're wondering, what about me? And then that's where, you got to start looking at the numbers and start looking at the math, and you start seeing policy dictated by that. You start seeing mindsets built off that. So when I was a registered Democrat up until about 2013, 2014. I had left the party in my mind, but I hadn't officially taken myself off the voter rolls. And the big thing that bothered me about being a Democrat in the Obama era was the soft racism of it all. And I know that sounds weird to say soft racism.
You say soft, I say blatant blackface racism right in our face. So I mean, I guess I know what you're saying, but we're saying it different.
I always thought it was soft because you're not saying that you hate me. You're just not seeing me for what I am or seeing others for what they are. During the Obama administration, it felt like we, the Democratic Party at that time, came to this conclusion: racism was over, and we started to believe this idea that America was going to brown, and it was going to cause the Republican Party to go away. It was going to cause the Latino population to be the majority, and that's almost a shoo-in for the Democratic Party. And that ideology seems very racist to me. It seems very stereotypical. It seems like a generalization. And I think that's came back to hit the party for what it is now. Because when you sit there and say someone is Latino, what does that mean? That means they could be Mexican, Venezuelan, Puerto Rican, Cuban. All of those are different nationalities. All of those have different backgrounds and beliefs. So you thinking that you were the party of abortion, you don't realize that some of these people are diehard Catholics.
Exactly.
Some of these people are diehard Christians who that may, even though they are brown,
Muslims.
you don't know them. You know that, and I'm just saying, like, that's a huge part of, like, the assumption. You've no longer put the work in to figure out what these people believe in. You've written them off and kind of sat there and said, this is who they are.
That's what the Democratic Party, going back to Barack, that's what the Democratic Party did with Barack. How you've seen it as soft racism, I've seen it as blatant blackface racism in our face, because we see things as a different lens, because you're mixed race and I'm both dual cotton picker black. You know what I'm saying? So I see as you can see things from an empathetic lens by having biracial parents. I can't. I see cotton picker black all the way through. So I don't have empathy for, white women or white men when it comes to when is it our time to get ours, because I seen my mom and dad both be marginalized when it comes to getting ours. And then I'm like, I'd be damned if it's going to be me, but it's been me because I got caught up in family court. But then I'm trying to figure out how are we going to make it better for our kids being in the center without letting them do that to us again. Because you're right, the Democratic Party is, in my opinion, hurting right now, because I watched that DNC committee chair member meeting thing, and if that's the direction you guys are going in, we're going to beat you every single time. I hate to be that way, but no, I don't hate to be that way. It's just the candidates that I saw that you guys put up, we'll run through them.
And I think that there's a point to that. Like, oh, my bad. Sorry, big itch. Like, you're going to see policy changes. You're going to see ideological changes all the time. And there's a huge idea of what the Overton window or what the extremes are, and it shifts left, right all the time. I don't think that's crazy to make that assumption, because the Democratic Party has to change with the times. Now, there's steps that's led us to this, and there's things that led us into hard left, hard right swings throughout time. I think policy is a big part of it. I think media is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And because all of those things are intertwined. American culture is its media, is its entertainment, is its technology.
Yeah.
So, what political and policy mistakes become a part of the culture identity. I think there's a lot of Republicans still holding grudges about COVID.
Oh, absolutely. I'm one of them. I can openly say that. The only thing that I don't like about, I know that COVID happened, and it was but the way that it was weaponized against entrepreneurs, people still got paychecks. I didn't get a paycheck. I was told if you go to work and you try to provide for your family, Dr. Fauci says you're going to lose your license, backed up by the Democratic Party and their policies. I had to go to Texas, to a Republican state, to even make money. Not even the money part. The mental part of being able to work and conversate with people every day of my life that work through critical thinking skills and sharpen my, okay, I'm thinking off because I can bounce this off of Jay, and Jay's gives me a way to think logically about it. And then when I've got this one thing and I'm taking all my ways of, but some people still had a paycheck, and I'm saying, so as a Republican, I'm holding grudges against COVID, and then for them to pardon Fauci indefinitely, had raised some flags for me.
and that's a fair thing. And I think that's part of the stuff where, how does the Democratic Party counter that? To be honest with you, I don't think there's many ways to. There's no apology that's going to fix that. There's no sentiment that's going to change that. But that's how policy works. So, people are going to remember you. Your legacy is going to be on the laws that you made. Your policy is going to be made on the inaction and the actions that you were able to do. We make comments these days about culture war. And I think we're going to see some culture war battles intensify underneath the Trump administration. Will it be consequential to the Republican Party, though? That stands to be seen because I can't read the future.
You can have an opinion, though.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to see, and again, I don't necessarily agree with it policy-wise. Yesterday, the Stand With Women bill was brought to the Senate.
Yeah.
I look at it from a political standpoint. I don't think that is the most important bill to bring up in the Senate right now. But I understand why it was brought up. They have the House. They have the Senate. That bill is not going to pass the filibuster.
Exactly.
51 to 45. That means we're missing, 4 senators?
It needs 60, right?
Yep. So you're missing 4 senators to get a full 100. Even if you got those 4, that's 55 to 45. What have you done? You've signaled to your base, and you've signaled to their base. And now what you do is campaign for the next year or two saying they went against women.
Midterms.
They really don't care about women.
Midterms.
Yep. And as a person who was in the Democratic Party, I watch the whole we're above the fray kind of mindset for a lot of policies I believed in. Coming from the hills, I believe in the ACA, and I believed in a lot of things that the ACA had in it. Democrats fought real hard for it, and they got it through. And Republicans to this day have not been able to really get it dismantled as much as they've promised. Why? For once in a lifetime, both parties showed some spine. But look how many things both parties have kind of died on.
Yeah, that's true.
I watched the Trump administration ban Antifa, but why? How come the Ku Klux Klan is not a terrorist organization?
Because they use that whenever they want to. Yeah, that's a whole nother. We won't.
But I'm just saying that's one thing that I would love to see.
Yeah, it should be. It should be codified in law. The Ku Klux Klan. It should be. If you are a part of that or any kind of neo-Nazi group that specifically goes and hates on specifically somebody black or African who's been through transatlantic, your body was taken from another country and brought here, and and somebody hates on you, and they got anti-hate bills for Jews, Koreans, Asian, and not black.
I think that, if you can label terrorist organizations, because we've listed 15 cartel groups as that, you can do that for one domestic group. But I think it's sometimes politically unsafe. I think there's plenty of culture war things that can be done by both parties that haven't been done. But let's talk actual policy. Like, what really gets me going as a person? I believe in a lot of things that are quote unquote liberal. But I have some very big things in my life that are conservative based. That is, I believe in a well-funded but fiscally smart government. So, I don't mind having tax cuts. I don't mind I really want us to get the budget in order. But I do have concerns about how it's done. What does that put me at? Because it puts me at odds with Doge, but it doesn't put me in the idea of big government. Where do I go? The answer is you get on one of these ships and take it whatever you have. That's not great. considering that's like one of my top 3 things that I vote for. You know, I have family that's in the military.
Yeah,
I was in the military.
Yeah. Military.
Defense budget spending. Hey, you're going to spend the money for the world's largest military, do it. But do it right. Do it smart.
And that's not just that's the world's largest budget of any kind of budget of anything. Our military spends more money than any other anything.
Yeah.
Which it should.
And I want, that means a lot to me as a person with family and friends that belong to the VA. That means a lot to me with friends and family who are still actively serving across the world.
Who have served, who have served, and who deserve the benefits from serving, right. the post benefits that they deserve after like coming out and get PTSD, getting the aftercare. I'm with you on that. But that being pro-military in a political box is, I feel, is a lot of reason why our country is a way that, why does everything got to be so political? But I mean, it's been that way since Kennedy got shot, man.
So this is the thing. When we say what is political, everything is political, because everything can be politicized, and everything that is a belief, a feeling, or an identity can be brought up in politics. So, the government's going to pay for it, the government's going to fix it, the government has control over it. Why wouldn't it be political?
What about for the people who say, my sports, I don't want my sports politicized. I don't want Kendrick Lamar doing his political statements during my sports. I don't want Taylor Swift's political statements during my sports. I don't want.
They're completely disingenuous with themselves and the people around them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're hypocritical, because no one has an issue with Kid Rock's political stance or Joe Rogan's political stance. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's very easy to say, I don't want a celebrity's opinion. Okay, well, you have to hear other opinions, and sometimes those come from who? Celebrities. Like, freedom of speech. I don't like my freedom of speech infringed upon. But there's a lot of freedom of speech and a lot of things that are covered by that. You're not going to like all of them. It may piss you off to see a flag burning. It may piss you off to see someone kneeling at a flag. It may piss you off to see someone protesting.
Colin Kaepernick.
There's so many different ways that is done that you can't really say, First Amendment right. Profanity in music. That's censorship.
Dolores T. Tucker, what was her name?
Yep. There's things that it's like there's splitting hairs. And more times than not, we usually just don't like the other side that does it. So when I'm in the middle, I loved Kendrick Lamar's performance. I don't know why Kendrick Lamar was picked in modern day Super Bowl history. He's not a pop artist. He is very much, as a rapper, very much a rapper lane. Nothing against anybody, but you know who I thought should have been the Super Bowl performance?
Lil Wayne.
Taylor Swift. Sorry.
That's a good. Hey, there's nothing right.
Why? She's look at who's done it. It's huge pop stars.
Bub, that's a great point.
We're in a point where you want in the middle, you want music for everybody, you want a lot of viewership. You go with pop artists. Look who's done it. Usher, but he had help from Lil Jon and a whole bunch of other people in Las Vegas. You know any great Las Vegas acts? That's where musicians go to die. That's where everyone gets a residency
rich.
and
they'll get rich.
Yeah,
they'll get their money.
That's their residency.
They go there to get their final retirement check.
Right. But we've
$1 million a night.
But look who's pop artist wise, who hasn't done it? It's a guy they won't give the microphone to in Kanye West. A person who's probably turned it down a lot and probably was dissed in this Super Bowl, Drake. And then the biggest female artist, not named Beyonce or Rihanna, Taylor Swift.
Damn, dude, that's a great breakdown.
Great. There's people that you've added to the Super Bowl that you said, they didn't deserve it. Like Katy Perry. When was the last Katy Perry song that you liked that was in the last 10 years?
I like Fireworks.
I did too. That's like 2012, I believe.
When she brought out Juicy J, she's a boss.
Yeah. Pretty sure that was a decade ago.
Katy Perry, boy.
But I mean, you've had the Red Hot Chili Peppers done it. You've had the Who do it. You've had Prince, Michael Jackson. We don't have artists in that generation that are that big and that universal. So you know what you're probably going to get in the next couple years? Post Malone.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Like we made a statement with the NFL being, because this all happened after Colin Kaepernick took that knee, and then after where they were like, well, we want more representation on what goes on, and they hired Jay-Z. These black men these black millionaires don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. They get to choose who they want, as they should.
But they're choosing great artists. I mean, you've gotten Bruno Mars twice. You've gotten Beyonce twice. You've gotten Red Hot Chili Peppers. You got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem in one show.
Okay, here's another way to break it down and look at it. Say you work for a Fortune 500 company.
Okay.
And you're all millionaires, and their CEO says, you know what? The director of entertainment says, this is your end of the year big party, boys. This is what you've worked all year for. Everybody gets to come to this thing. Who do you want to get to perform? You think they're going to think about everybody else in the masses, or you think about their party? They've worked all year. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're bringing all their homies. Who do they want to floss in their boxes with?
I think the answer is going to be whoever makes them the most money and whoever makes them the most wins. And that's why a lot more to it than just picking who they like. Like, who's going to get a bunch of views? That's money. If you don't, at the end of the day, rich or not, we all care about the money. We all are in it for the money in some form or fashion. The easiest way to get money is impressions. You look at the numbers behind this Kendrick performance. Yeah. Whether it's polarizing, whether it's not what you want, the numbers are there. They made their money, and he did it for free.
And White Tea America was like, that's horrible. I hated it, blah, blah, blah. And on our side, we were like, this is going to be the most watched thing ever happen. And then I even told somebody, this is going to be broken down how Hamilton.
Yeah.
How they're like, oh, yeah, did you see the Hamilton play? Did you understand? This is like bringing Hamilton from the 1700s, 1800s, to 2025, and then I still think that they'll have to have their children's explain still some of it to them.
Yeah, well, look at it. That's impressions, though. So that's what viral is. Hey, this performance, you have so many content creators talking about the messaging in it. That's YouTube. That's money. And even though that content creator is going to get $60 for this video, that video is linked to a YouTube channel by the NFL, which brings you back to their advertising, which brings you back to their product, which makes you want to watch next year's Super Bowl, which made you go down a YouTube binge on watching the last 20 YouTube Super Bowls.
Comparing who has the best live performance.
Like here's my top 25. Like, bro, do you know Gloria Estefan has done the Super Bowl like 5 times? Right. Exactly. We've gotten so entitled that we can't have the same person do the Super Bowl. We've now gotten to the point where you got to get, in the Super Bowl, you get America the Beautiful, you get the Star Spangled Banner,
the flyover.
Yep, and you get a Super Bowl performance.
Trump tried to make it political and screw it all up.
Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. And I know that we started this topic by talking about being politically homeless. At some point, people just want to enjoy the show. But everyone's going to have a comment and have an idea. And just like most things on the left or the right, you can't make everyone happy, but there is a general consensus. The middle of the road when it comes to the Super Bowl is everybody wants to see Kansas City lose. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not a kidding thing. Who day, all day.
But, everyone wants a good show. If Kendrick Lamar's mic goes off, that's all we're going to talk about. If Fergie messes up the national anthem, that's all we're going to talk about.
Gets her titty pulled out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we can have an opinion on it, but nobody wants a bad show. So like that's where it's like we can look at it politically, we can look at it in our entertainment, we can look at it for culture war politics. Everyone wants to be able to raise their kids in peace. Everyone wants to feel secure in their job and be able to make their money and provide for their families.
Right.
How do we get across to do that? How do we focus that? Well, is that me cutting Medicaid and Medicare? Is that me giving extra funds to certain accounts? Is this me making certain things initiatives to protect, foreign security? I think a lot of things could be positioned differently to both sides and said by different sides that could really change your mind. Like, I know Elon is a big electrical car guy. How can you make conservatives who technically do not believe in the New Green Deal want to buy more electrical vehicles besides just having a guy who makes the most electrical vehicles? I don't know. Let's make it a point of national security. We're tired of Venezuela and OPEC pushing America around. How do we stop that? By diversifying and drilling more. Drilling's great, cool. You fixed one half of it. What happens when our oil reserves go?
We go over to someone else's country and we take theirs because we got the most military power in the whole world.
Right. That's what it can be.
That's how we go. That's how it goes, man.
But you could easily say, hey, let's diversify our energy pool. Let's continue to protect our coal, our oil jobs, and bring these costs down for the average American so we can keep electrical down. That won't happen because it's either or. It's not compromise.
The center, what Elon's doing, I believe it's necessary. We need this. If we're still dealing with, it's as far as like programming equipment from 1955 that is still calculating whenever you can take a iPhone and set it on a stack of the papers and take all the data from that stack and shrink that. There's got to be a more better usage, and plus, I'm not we'll go back to the being politically homeless during COVID. These people who are working from home still got a paycheck, and they still there's those mouses that move around, and they still get a paycheck. So people asking to send an email with 5 things to return an email, and then the left politicizing that, saying something is wrong with, and I like. What is wrong with if your boss says, send me a reply to this email? Reply. I mean, instead of making it like, oh, I can't believe that they're requiring us to do something or hold us accountable. By gosh, why would they hold us accountable?
And that's where, again, what makes someone feel like, as an employee or as a worker, let's say this, workers' strength. What empowers workers? What makes workers feel safe? What makes workers feel, I love that stuff, by the way, thanks for this. What makes workers feel like they're making headway? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do that because there's a lot of different things in the workforce. Not everyone works from home. Not everyone owns a business. So how can we make this work? There's some things, I think sometimes a good tax cut goes a long way. Does that help us in the long term towards, perfect? Does that help us in the short term of trying to the long term on fixing our debt? No. But it may be needed. I think there was points where it's like, hey, we do have to give a stimulus. We do got to get these people to work. We do got to help these people pay for stuff. I think sometimes, like a lot of things, good intentions do still get you hurt. We talk about how much money was given to, Wall Street.
Yeah.
That's still money you didn't get.
Yeah.
That's money that I didn't get.
Not directly, I believe, like the Wall Street thing, depending on who you are and where you have your money. Like, yeah, I'm sure you didn't get it directly, but by the nature of where you work,
oh yeah,
you get the benefits of Wall Street being able to.
Exactly.
You get that by me being financially savvy enough to have a brokerage account, I reap the benefits of Wall Street getting those things.
Exactly.
Everybody else, the majority of the people, they might not, but I do see that the car industry bailouts. I agree with those kind of things to keep the American economy going. What I don't agree with is us taking a loan out to go pay for somebody else's war.
And that's part of it. Like, money is a tangible thing. You know, what does this give? You know, people, hear, why is Jordan and Egypt getting all this aid? You're propping up a regime because you don't want the opposite position in Israel over there.
And they mess around and mess with one of our allies in NATO, then we got to go to war.
Exactly. So, like, those things, it's like, I understand it. There's foundational understanding. There's in-depth understanding. It's a lot to maintain while you're still trying to raise kids, provide for your family, do all this. And it's going to be sold to you in different ways. You know, my example on trying to get less fracking and more oil and less and all this on energy, I found a way to sell it to you. Does that mean it's going to come out that way? No. And I think that's the part of it when you talk about political homelessness. Am I going to get anything out of this? Because it seems like a lot of effort to not. And going here or going there just seems like bad options. I want to feel good in my home. And politically, there's not many places that you feel like that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a good way to